How's everybody doing? Pretty exciting stuff here. Really amazing. If you'll bear with me, I'd like to thank a few of the wonderful folks who are with us here today. First and foremost, the Mayor of the City of Kingston, Steve Noble. The Mayor of the City of Middletown, Joe DiStefano. Dear friend. Rob Rollison, the Mayor of the City of Poughkeepsie. Rob, thank you for joining us. Our County Comptroller, Elliot Auerbach. Our County Clerk here in Ulster County, Nina Postupak. Our county legislators, including Minority Leader Hector Rodriguez. The members of the City Common Council. Ulster County's own amazing town supervisors. For each and every one of you, thank you for joining us here today. 20 extraordinary towns. Thank you. Members of the Mid-Hudson Regional Economic Development Council. Thank you as well for all your hard work. Thank you to our friends in labor for joining us here today. And thank you to the amazing members of the Kingston DRI Committee. You know, as the county executive of this extraordinary place, I've said it time and time again, you cannot have a thriving and vibrant county without an extraordinary city. The mayor and I have been proud to partner on countless initiatives for that simple reason. We know that working together, we can do amazing things, and our shared constituents will be the beneficiaries. We're seeing it happen before our very eyes. Kingston has transformed and continues to get better, and what it will look like is nothing short of extraordinary. Yeah, absolutely. And the governor has been shoulder to shoulder in every step of the way, fully understanding that not just at the local level here in our community, but all across our state, a commitment to infrastructure, and whether that be our roads and bridges that needed to get better, or whether that means things like broadband that need to get better, and we continue to make these huge strides, all because the governor has continued to invest and continues to understand the importance, every step of the way, understanding that it's in partnership with the private sector that the economy can turn around. And under his leadership, we have seen our unemployment simply cut in half. And so as we build the infrastructure for the 21st century, as we continue to expand on the exciting opportunities that we have before us, I'm going to introduce you the comedian of the entire Cuomo administration, one of the funniest human beings that has walked the face of this earth. The fact that we are in the Catskills should not be lost on anyone. Ladies and gentlemen, the head of the Empire State Development Corporation, Howard Zimsky.
Thanks, Mike. Nothing kills humor like an introduction like that. Oh, boy. Anyway, it's good to be with everyone here in Kingston and all you Kingstonians, right? And in Ulster, Ulsteronians, Ulsterians, and in the Mid-Hudson. You guys have done a fabulous job, honestly, because the governor has given you the authority to do economic development, and I know we thank the regional council members and thank all of you. Thank the county executive and the mayor. You know, economic development is a team sport. And just talking to these guys in the back room, you can just tell how collaborative they are. And that's really working the city, working with the county, working with the state has done so much to help this area. And I've learned a lot about Kingston. I've learned about uptown, midtown, and downtown Kingston. I never knew Kingston was that big, but it is. But it's great. And I know that our focus today is probably more on uptown Kingston and the Stockade District. That's where a lot of the, I think, DRI funding projects are, so we're excited about that. I want to also recognize, while we're, giving some shout outs, you guys have an amazing sports team here, right? Are there anyone? This is the time of year when everyone seems to be a soccer fan all over the place. So you go into bars, not that I ever go into bars, but I notice people are watching and spilling out on the streets. But it seems like in Kingston, soccer is more of a all-year sport. So congratulations to the soccer team. I know who's done a fabulous job. We have supported a lot of businesses in the Mid-Hudson and a lot of different industries. Life sciences is big business. The tourism industry, as you know, all things culinary and food processing. And my personal favorite, craft beverages. And you've run into me in the bars, haven't you? And I don't know if you've noticed, but just in the last couple of months, we've announced 2 significant projects. One of Japan's largest sake manufacturers coming to the Mid-Hudson, and one of Romania's largest liquor producers. So, I just want you to know, as the head of economic development, I have been traveling the world, drinking, and it's paying dividends. Right here in the Mid-Hudson. Over 500 projects we have supported. The governor has been incredibly supportive, billions of dollars of investment, as you know. And we have talked over the years about the importance of downtown revitalization, and we've talked a lot about the importance of creating places that not just young people, I get it. It's important that we revitalize downtowns all over the Mid-Hudson for everyone, but in upstate, we tend to think about that we lost a disproportionate share of young people, and it's particularly important for companies to be able to recruit people here and keep your great young people here and grow. And what are they looking for? Typically, they're looking for great, walkable, transit-friendly, green spaces. They're looking for waterfronts. They're looking for complete streets. They're looking for things different than maybe my parents were looking for. Though it's sort of like more what my grandparents were looking for. It's all like back to the future. So that's part of economic development. If you talk to businesses, they want to recruit people to cool downtowns. And they want to recruit people to uptown Kingston. So as you know, nothing says summer like a good PowerPoint presentation. So I'm going to launch into mine. It's because it's summer, we kept it to under 100 slides. No, it's not that bad. See if you can find yourselves on that map. Well, there you are in super cool Kingston. And you know this is a statewide competition. We open up this DRI throughout the state. And we received over 100 applications, of which there were only 10 winners, so less than 10%. And as you know, I know this is really no surprise, you won. Did anyone here not know you won? Kingston, baby. How much did you win? You won $10 million to help revitalize Kingston. So let me take you through some of the exciting projects. There are 6 that received the bulk of the funding. $3.8 million to enhance the Kingstonian mixed-use development, which is adding 132 residential units, 8,500 square feet of commercial space, and a 34-room hotel in downtown, uptown Kingston. I was talking with the developer who you're going to hear from, and he was telling me about the area. It's a parking lot now. It's an underutilized warehouse. I think there was a former parking ramp that came down because it was so badly deteriorated. I think we all know Uptown Kingston needs some more parking. There is going to be a parking ramp as part of that project. There's going to be a pedestrian plaza, which is an exciting component of the project. Importantly, from our standpoint, over $50 million of private sector investment going into this significant project. So this will be a real anchor to the revitalization of Uptown. So we're excited about that. I know you're going to hear from the developer in a bit. $2.5 million to modernize and upgrade Dietz Stadium and Andretta Pool. This has been part of the 2013 Parks and Rec Master Plan. I was talking with the mayor earlier how much use this gets, not only by the Kingston Stockade, but also by the city schools. So this is a really important asset and amenity and an important part of downtown that the whole community uses. And I think you all know, based on the applause of funding for this project, that it needs a significant upgrade, and it's getting a significant upgrade as part of the revitalization initiative. So we're very proud of that. Next project, $1.3 million to improve access and circulation within the Stockade Business District, making it more pedestrian friendly, improving traffic circulation and wayfinding. And that's important. We have to improve the downtowns. We have to make them more user-friendly. A lot of decades was spent making everything automobile-friendly, and not enough time was spent making things pedestrian-friendly. And so we are sometimes going back and redoing things or adding amenities to downtown, making it more user-friendly. Sometimes, as we were talking with the mayor, we put roads on diets. We don't need 4-lane highways everywhere. So we're putting some of the roads on diets and making downtown more approachable and more livable. $987,000 to redesign Schwenk Drive to create a desirable, walkable, pedestrian-friendly connection through the Stockade Business District. Anyone in favor of this? The city has some facade improvement programs, and we are expanding that program and giving people the opportunity, commercial, residential, facade improvements in the downtown business district. So that will, again, contribute to the beautification and livability and desirability of Stockade Business District. And $472,000 to create public open spaces along historic Frog Alley, which I've read a lot about, actually, historic Frog Alley, and it's very cool. And there are ruins, and I live up in Buffalo, and I thought turn-of-the-century buildings were old, but you have remnants of buildings here from the 1700s and perhaps the 1600s, which is really impressive. And it's important to preserve your heritage and the tradition We put so much focus, and the state does, in historic tax credits, adaptive reuse. The character of your communities and buildings are so dependent on saving and reusing historic buildings or preserving historic ruins. It's important to keep your tradition and keep your history, which you have in abundance here. And by the way, it's an important part of your tourism economy as well. So I want to say in closing, I don't actually have any more slides. You can give that a hand. I just want to say again, teamwork, it's great. You've got great political leadership, and we believe in the teamwork of economic development. We have partnered with Kingston on this project. We partnered with the Department of State, Rosanna Rosada and her team. We partnered with ESD, Megan Taylor, who has ESD here. We partner with other state agencies. We partner with urban planners. We partner with all of you, and you partner with us through your participation through the regional economic development councils, which has been extremely effective, and I want to thank all of them. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce the governor, who has had the vision and the commitment and the determination. I have seen this myself firsthand. I've lived upstate, and I have watched the revitalization of upstate, and now traveling throughout the state, I see it everywhere, and I see it here, and you're seeing it in Kingston. We've never had a governor who has empowered you, who believes more in you and in your vision for Kingston, for Ulster County, and for the state of New York. It is a great pleasure to introduce Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Congratulations to you. It's an exciting day to be here, all good news. First, let me acknowledge Mike Hine, who's doing a great, great job as county executive. He's a superstar. Mayor Steve Noble, who's doing a great job, as you see from today. Joseph Benura, who is one of the investors who is investing in the new Kingston. So let's give him a round of applause. You'll hear from him in a second. And Mr. Howard Zemsky, economic development guru extraordinaire. I disagree with Mike Hine's introduction that Howard has the best sense of humor in the administration. I know for a fact that he doesn't. We actually took a vote in the cabinet on who was the person with the best sense of humor. I won 14-1. The only vote for Howard was Howard. It's just in situations like this, he has more license, right? What can anyone do to him? He is a self-made man. We pay him $1 a year. I can't fire him. He doesn't care, so he has license. I, as governor, have more constraints, you see, because press corps says, oh, relax, say this, say that, say this. Yeah, sure. I say one comma out of place, I'm a dead man. But I think it's fair to say Howard Zemsky is a fairly funny individual. Let's give him a round of applause for his great work. It's a pleasure to be back in Kingston. I have a lot of history with Kingston. I did a lot of work here, and I spent a lot of personal time here. When I had time, I used to do a lot of boating on the Hudson River with my brother. I used to love coming up and down the Hudson and coming in around Dowd Creek. One trip, I let my brother drive, and I wasn't paying attention. Almost went right into the lighthouse, my brother. How bad a story would that have been? Talk about bad stories. But it is all here in Kingston. It always has been. and it's just been a function of making it happen. I spent 8 years in the federal government at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. I had been doing community development work, and I went down to HUD to run community planning and development, was the name of the division for the country. And Bill Clinton was the president, Al Gore was the vice president, and they were very interested in community development because it was always what progressive, active government was trying to do, right? How do you bring economic activity to poorer working communities? So we studied everything. You know, Al Gore, who took a personal interest in it, he was very rigorous. We went back and we studied all the old programs and why didn't UDAG work and why didn't Model Cities work and all the past economic development efforts, and we learned from them. And then we came up with a new formula and we deployed it. It was called the empowerment theory, and empowerment zones were the big program that ran for 8 years under Bill Clinton. And it gave me the opportunity to go all across the country, literally work with hundreds and hundreds of communities that were in different circumstances and trying to redevelop and trying to grow. And you see similarities and patterns, right? And we distilled from that what was the best of what worked, and that's what we're doing in New York State. And the entire enterprise is part science and part art. The science is there are macroeconomic factors that can either help you or hurt you. And Kingston, a city, a town, a village, a county, you can't do it despite what is happening in the state. You can't swim upriver when the tide is coming against you at 7 knots. You just can't. And for many years, especially in upstate New York, Hudson Valley, the state tide was against you. For years, you had a state that I call it the hangover New York arrogance. We had a state government that thought they could do whatever they could do, and nobody would leave because this was New York, and you could keep raising taxes, and you could keep raising regulations, and nobody would leave because you're the state of New York, and where else could somebody really go? There are actually alternative states to the state of New York. They are not New York, but if you look at a map, you see to the west of New York all those other shapes, they're called other states. And if you push people hard enough, they will go there, and they can go there. And we did that. We lost generations of young people. I mean, it's been 50 years of decline in upstate New York. We raised taxes, and businesses, especially in upstate New York, said, you know, we do have alternatives. We can move here and here and here, and they did. And that downward trajectory went on for a long time. You could not fight that tide. That tide had to be changed. And we did. We looked in the mirror, we understood the problem, we understood that we had to do a 180-degree turn, and we did. We had to get taxes down. State taxes are down to historic levels. I know you think it's counterintuitive and strains credulity that a government could actually reduce taxes, but we reduced taxes. Middle class tax rate, lowest rate since 1947. Think about that. Think about that. That's no fuzzy math. It's no with inflators. Lowest rate since 1947. Corporate tax rates, lowest rate since 1968. Manufacturing tax rate, lowest rate since 1917. I mean, just think about the magnitude of the change in tax policy. And then we passed a property tax cap, where the local officials all hate me, but if you pay property taxes, you had 6-7% increases every year. Who could handle those? Property tax cap limited them to 2%. So we learned the lesson, we changed the environment. It's also a science in that for an area to grow, you need a certain amount of infrastructure. You need a growth platform. Transportation drives economic development. We've known that all our history. Eisenhower knew it when he built the highway system. Transportation builds economic development. If they can't get to you, they can't live there or do business. So we've done a $100 billion investment in infrastructure, largest investment in infrastructure of any state in the United States. New LaGuardia Airport. New LaGuardia Airport, new JFK Airport, new Tappan Zee Bridge, where I believe Stewart Airport has tremendous potential that is unrealized, and we're developing a new Stewart Airport. The Woodbury interchange, which has been a bottleneck, pain in the neck for a long time. We're redoing the whole Woodbury interchange. Tourism investments, the walkway over the Hudson, which has done great things. Skywalk, tied to Olana. So you need that transportation investment, and we're making that transportation investment. And then third, the science is somebody has to provide seed capital so you can start the turnaround. Joe Bonura, the private developer, says, well, I'm willing to put my money at risk, but I want to see some signs of growth first. And I want to see someone to partner with me. And after years of decline, you have to show me something. This was especially hard in upstate New York, Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Kingston, because state government was nowhere to be found. State government was like myopically focused on New York City. And I'm a New York City boy. I get it. It's the economic engine for the state in many ways. But it's only part of New York. And we have all of that upstate New York, and we had all of that upstate New York potential that we were overlooking. We did a 180-degree turn on that. And we said, if you want to grow the state, don't just look to New York City, look to upstate New York and get upstate New York productive and economically strong, and you will raise the whole state. And that was we've invested more in upstate New York than any administration in the history of the state of New York. Just think about that. And it is an investment because either we improve the economy or the state winds up paying for the consequences of not having a strong economy. Over $36 billion we've invested in upstate New York, and I'm proud of it. Largest single investment, I guess you could say, since the Erie Canal, DeWitt Clinton. So, which was about upstate New York, but it wasn't really about upstate New York. It was about getting somewhere else. But since that development, we've spent more time and done more work, and I am proud of it. It's working. The state today has 8 million private sector jobs. What does that mean? More private sector jobs than have ever existed in the state of New York before. That's what we have. And we have an unemployment rate when we started, the unemployment rate was 7.3. Today it's 3.7. How beautiful is that? So the science part was done, but the art part is what you had to do. And Howard is right. The development patterns are changing. We no longer, or the millennials, the growth generation, no longer is seeking to move out to the suburbs and get a two-car garage and little patio and little barbecue, and that's their dream. That was Howard and my generation. I'm a little younger than Howard, but they're basically in the same generation. That's changed. Young people now want downtown areas. They want that energy. They want to be able to walkability. They want to be able to walk to the store, and they want to be able to walk to the restaurant, and they want to be able to walk to the cafe. They don't want to get in the car and sit for half an hour and then come back in the morning. They live and work in the same place, and they recreate in the same place, and they want cool. Cool. I know cool. Howard doesn't know cool, but I know cool. They want that sense of history, coming together with youth, coming together with that new growth in cuisine, and they want recreation, and they want it all in one place. And they want the synergy of all that energy. They want that mix. They want that stew. And that's an art form. Yes, you have a potential magnet if you arrange the pieces in the right places, and if you get them to complement one another. And I don't care if you call it uptown Kingston, midtown Kingston, downtown, sideways Kingston. If you come up with a mosaic, a fabric that brings those pieces together and attracts younger people, the businesses will come because they are in search of the younger people. The business's first question is, when we try to get them to come to the state of New York, did you get your taxes under control? How much is it going to cost me to move there? We talked that point through. Their second question, do you have a young educated workforce? Because I need a young educated workforce. And those are the questions. And whoever solves that riddle wins. Kingston, you start with every asset you could imagine. You have Roundout Creek, you have the history, you have a great location, you can get to Albany, you can get to the city, you're in the Hudson Valley, you have historic masterpieces, the Roosevelt Home, Rockefeller Home, Vanderbilt Home, you have Olana, you have the Hudson River itself that brought people from all over the world just to paint the river and the landscape and be inspired. I mean, you have every asset. You now have the state macroeconomic forces going your way. The current is coming with you, and you have come together to put all the pieces together. That's why you won that DRI, Downtown Revitalization Grant. 100 communities, 10 winners, everybody trying to do exactly what you were doing. How do we bring these pieces together and form a quilt that makes each piece synergize the other? You did it. I said to the mayor backstage one thing: keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. You're digging your way out of a hole. It was a long hole. Buffalo, New York, 50 years of disinvestment and decline. 50 years, generations. It is a new city with a new attitude and a new trajectory. It's a totally changed place. It can be done. You are doing it. Evidentiary note. Young friend of mine, millennial, was in California, an artist, calls me up, I'm moving back to New York. Where are you going? Kingston. I said, really? She said, yeah, I've been there. It's very cool. I said, see, I know cool. Howard does not know cool. So it is happening. It is coming together. Just keep it going. Congratulations to all of you. We will be doing what we have to do on the state side. We will be there as a partner. We're going to continue to fund community development, downtown revitalization, but the hard part you did. The hard part was changing the direction of the arrows, stopping that decline and turning it around where you start on the ascent. And Kingston, you are on the ascent. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Joseph Benora Jr., continuing on development.
Thank you, Governor Cuomo. I am Joseph Benora Jr., partner at the Benora Hospitality Group, and it's a pleasure to be here today. Benora Hospitality Group is a multi-generational, family-run New York business that has been working in the Hudson Valley for over 4 decades. My mother and father started the business, and today my brother, who's here, and I help run operations across the region. So as a longtime member of the Hudson Valley community, it is so exciting to see the change that's happening here in Kingston, and to be a part of it. In partnership with the Herzog Supply Company, we are proud to be building a mixed-use development that will bring new energy to Kingston and fuel the city's upward trajectory. The project includes housing, commercial space for restaurants and retail, a hotel, a pedestrian plaza, and a 420-car parking garage with 250 spaces reserved for public use. It aims to maintain the historic character of the site, including by rebuilding the legendary Kingstonian Hotel, while preparing the city for the next century of growth. And this project wouldn't be possible without the support of Governor Cuomo and the Downtown Revitalization Initiative. Thanks in part to DRI funding, we are turning what once was a dream into a reality. It is clear that the governor is listening to the needs of our community and working with us to improve the city and drive economic growth. So I want to thank the governor for his leadership and for his commitment to creating jobs and economic opportunity here in Kingston. And I want to thank everyone who has made these extraordinary DRI investments possible. Now please join me in welcoming Kingston Mayor Steve Noble.
Thank you. Thank you. It's our time. And so with that, you know, this investment that the governor has made has really brought our community together. And while many of you participated in meeting after meeting after meeting, today is the payoff. We were able to use the governor's model of listening to the ground level, listening to the grassroots, listening to what was important in our community, and by that, we built a plan. And we built a pretty darn good plan. And so, now, the hard part. We have to implement this plan, but I know we can do it. I know that we can work together. I know that Governor Andrew Cuomo and his entire administration is going to be there to support us every step of the way, but I know that you all are too. Each and every one of you are going to play an extremely important role in the success of this endeavor and of Kingston. Without you, we won't be able to do it. But with you, we will be able to leverage every little penny of this $10 million and leverage it time and time and time again. And so that every single one of our children are going to want to come back to Kingston, and every generation from here on are going to continue to consider Kingston home, because we are going to build a community that everyone can live in, that everyone can afford, and that is going to continue to move both our city forward, the valley forward, and Andrew Cuomo's support, our state forward. And so, Governor, thank you again for believing in us, and thank you all for believing in me and our administration and what we're trying to do here in Kingston. So thank you very much.